Life is a burden. Accept that. The only question is, will you carry it like a slave or like a king? Think with me for a moment. No one asked to be born. No soul had the option to choose where, when, or under what circumstances it would take its first breath. And yet here we are, thrown into this world without explanations, carrying the burden of existence, subjected to the weight of our own choices and to circumstances we never controlled. But if we didn't choose to be born, why do we continue to live? This question should be unbearable, yet how many of us actually dare to face it? We occupy our minds with exhausting routines, numb ourselves with distractions, flee from silence and deep thought. We scroll endlessly, binge-watch series until 3 a.m., fill every moment of silence with podcasts and music, anything to avoid confronting the fundamental question, what are we doing here? Nietzsche, however, refuses these comforting illusions. For him, to live is to carry an inevitable weight, a weight that can either crush us or make us unbreakable. And he presents us with one of the most brutal thought experiments in all of philosophy. What if one day or one night a demon were to slip into your loneliest loneliness and say to you, this life, as you now live it and have lived it, you will have to live once more and innumerable times more, and there will be nothing new in it, but every pain and every joy and every thought and sigh and everything unutterably small or great in your life will have to return to you, all in the same succession and sequence. This is the eternal return. If the life you're living today had to be lived eternally exactly as it is, would that be a blessing or a curse? Be honest with yourself. Most people already know the answer, even without the courage to say it aloud. We live waiting for a relief that never arrives. After this stressful week, I'll rest. When I get that promotion, I'll be happy. Once I have enough money, everything will be fine. When I lose these 20 pounds, my life will start. After I graduate, things will fall into place. But that day never comes, does it? You finish one project and there's another waiting. You reach one goal and suddenly it doesn't feel like enough. You achieve what you thought would make you happy and the emptiness returns, sometimes even deeper than before. Nietzsche knew that life has no finish line where suffering dissolves and everything finally makes sense. The weight of existence is continuous, relentless, and happiness, that distant promise society sells us, is merely a brief interlude between periods of struggle and uncertainty. Modern society has perfected the art of teaching us to flee discomfort. We trivialize immediate pleasure. We seek dopamine in social media notifications, in the next purchase, in the next episode, in the next scroll. We consume shallow content that makes us forget, even if only briefly, the growing void inside us. Think about your own life. How many hours have you lost to distractions this week alone? How many times did you reach for your phone the moment you felt bored or uncomfortable? How often do you sit in complete silence with your own thoughts? But what if, instead of fleeing, we accepted this truth? What if we stopped running? Nietzsche challenges us to look suffering directly in the eyes and say yes to life, not despite the burden, but precisely because of it. History is filled with figures who knew how to carry the weight of life with dignity. Let me tell you about some of them, because their stories matter. Fyodor Dostoevsky was sentenced to death for his involvement in a revolutionary group. He was led to the execution site, blindfolded, waiting for the bullets to tear through him. At the last possible second, the order came. The execution was a mock trial. He was pardoned but sent to Siberian labor camps for 4 years. Most people would emerge from such an experience broken, bitter, consumed by rage. But Dostoevsky didn't. He used that experience, that confrontation with death, that suffering in the camps, to write some of the deepest explorations of the human soul ever created. Crime and Punishment, The Brothers Karamazov, Notes from Underground. These weren't written by a man running from pain. They were written by someone who stared into the abyss and came back with wisdom. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison. 27 years! Think about that. Many of us can't handle 27 minutes of boredom without reaching for a distraction. He was imprisoned for fighting against apartheid, and when he finally emerged, he didn't seek revenge. He didn't become consumed by hatred. Instead, he led the reconciliation of a nation, becoming one of the most respected leaders in modern history. Malala Yousafzai was shot in the head by the Taliban for advocating for girls' education. She was 15 years old. She survived, and instead of retreating into fear and silence, she became a global voice for education rights, eventually winning the Nobel Peace Prize. Viktor Frankl survived Nazi concentration camps where his wife, parents, and brother died. In the midst of unimaginable horror, he discovered what he called man's search for meaning, the idea that even in suffering we can find purpose. He went on to develop logotherapy, a psychological approach that has helped millions of people worldwide. These people understood what Nietzsche called amor fati, the love of fate, the love of one's own destiny. What distinguishes an ordinary person from a higher spirit is the answer to this question: is the weight of life a curse or a challenge? Nietzsche gives us the answer. Those who learn to carry the burden with pride transform pain into power. They don't become victims of their circumstances, they become creators despite them. The question is, which will you be? For centuries, humanity found comfort in the belief that existence had a purpose designed by something greater. People endured the weight of life believing they would be rewarded in the end, that earthly suffering was merely a passage to a realm where everything would make sense, where justice would exist, and tears would be wiped away by divine hands. But then Nietzsche came and proclaimed what many feared to admit: God is dead, God remains dead, and we have killed him. This wasn't a simple declaration of atheism as many mistakenly interpret it. It wasn't merely the denial of a divine entity. It was the announcement of an existential collapse. If God is dead, then who are we? If there is no divine plan, no cosmic purpose, no ultimate meaning handed down from above, why continue? What's the point of anything? The death of God wasn't a liberation, Nietzsche knew. It was a tragedy. Humanity wasn't ready to face the void. Without a predefined purpose, everything seemed to lose meaning. And so, predictably, new illusions began to emerge to fill that gap. If God is dead, what do we put in his place? Look around you. History answers: political ideologies that promise utopia, cults of science that claim to have all answers, unrestrained consumerism that promises fulfillment through the next purchase, the pursuit of status and followers, digital distractions that keep us perpetually occupied. Modern man no longer kneels before an altar in a church, but he kneels before financial markets, before infinite social media feeds, before empty promises of success and recognition. He worships at the altar of productivity, of optimization, of the next achievement. We've traded one form of servitude for another. Nietzsche foresaw this movement. He knew that faced with the void left by the death of God, many would simply attempt to replace old faith with new forms of psychological slavery. He warned, "The desert grows. Woe to him who harbors deserts within himself." The truth is, we cannot endure silence. We cannot face life without a script, without instructions, without someone telling us what it all means. We prefer comforting lies to painful truths. And here's our greatest error. We seek outside ourselves what can only be found within. Nietzsche described what he saw as the greatest danger of modernity, the rise of the last man. This being is not a tyrant, he's not a monster. On the contrary, he's completely mediocre, docile, domesticated. He desires no great conquests, he takes no risks, he bears no weight. He only wants comfort, security, small and predictable pleasures. Sound familiar? The last man says, "We have invented happiness." He's content with his routine job, his weekend entertainment, his comfortable numbness. He doesn't ask big questions, he doesn't challenge himself. He doesn't want anything more than safety and small pleasures. He watches other people's lives on social media instead of living his own. He has opinions on everything, but takes stands on nothing. He's busy, but accomplishes little of significance. He's comfortable, but unfulfilled. He's alive, but not really living. And Nietzsche asks, is this the destiny of humanity? Will we all become last men, satisfied with a miserable existence masquerading as comfort? Look at the world around you. How many people do you know who are truly alive, truly engaged with the full weight of existence? How many are just going through the motions, numbing themselves, waiting for the weekend, counting down to retirement? How many are becoming last men? No, what Nietzsche proposes is exactly the opposite. In the face of the void, we must become creators, those who shape their own destiny. The true path is not to seek substitutes for God, not to replace religious faith with faith in politics or science or money or fame. The path is to accept the chaos of existence and learn to dance with it. One must have chaos within oneself to give birth to a dancing star. Nietzsche offers no easy answers, no new commandments, no prefabricated meaning. He simply says, be strong enough to create your own meaning. The modern world has taught us to hate suffering. Every aspect of our society revolves around the promise of a painless life. Technology promises to eliminate inconvenience. Medicine seeks to eradicate discomfort. Social media offers instant validation to soothe any emotional wound. Everything is anesthetized. Sadness becomes a disorder requiring medication. Loneliness becomes a clinical problem requiring intervention. Frustration becomes an excuse to quit. Any discomfort becomes something that must be immediately eliminated. But Nietzsche whispers an uncomfortable truth. I want to learn more and more how to see as beautiful what is necessary in things. Then I shall be one of those who make things beautiful. Pain, far from being an error of existence, is our greatest opportunity. Suffering is a privilege, but few are capable of understanding it. Think about this. What are the greatest achievements in history? They weren't born from comfort. The ancient Spartans became legendary warriors not because they had easy lives, but because they were raised in brutal conditions. The Renaissance masters created their art through years of grinding practice and often in poverty. Scientific breakthroughs come from researchers who face failure after failure before achieving success. Modern examples surround us too. Every successful entrepreneur has a story of near bankruptcy, of betting everything and almost losing it all. Every great athlete has a story of injuries, setbacks, moments of wanting to quit. Every artist, writer, musician who creates something meaningful has gone through periods of doubt, rejection, and struggle. But what do we do today? We flee, we quit at the first sign of difficulty. When we feel lonely, we open our phones seeking validation from strangers. When we fail, we seek culprits instead of lessons. When we feel pain, we turn to immediate distractions rather than confronting it. We take the easy path every single time, and thus we become weak. There's a word for this: decadence. Not merely material decay, but the decay of will, courage, and inner strength. Nietzsche wrote, "What is good? Everything that heightens in man the feeling of power, the will to power, power itself. What is bad? Everything that comes from weakness. The weak man flees suffering. The strong man transforms it into power." Think honestly about any truly significant achievement in your own life. If it was easy, did it really have value? If it required no sacrifice, no sleepless nights, no sweat, no doubt, no fear, was it really a victory worth celebrating? The diploma you earned after years of difficult study means something. The relationship you fought to save and strengthen means something. The skill you developed through countless hours of frustrating practice means something. The weight you lost through months of discipline means something. But the things that came easily, the gifts handed to you, the accomplishments that required no real effort, do they carry the same weight? Nietzsche believed that pain was the only path to real overcoming. There is no genuine pleasure without effort. The climber who takes a helicopter to the summit doesn't feel the same glory as the one who bled to conquer the mountain. This is the principle of amor fati in action, loving one's own destiny, loving everything that happens to us, including the pain, because it is what shapes us into who we are meant to become. My formula for greatness in a human being is amor fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. Not merely bear what is necessary, still less conceal it. All idealism is mendacity in the face of what is necessary, but love it. Nietzsche isn't saying we should seek suffering out of pure masochism. He's not suggesting we hurt ourselves deliberately. What he is saying is profound. When suffering comes, and it will come, we should embrace it, understand it has a purpose, and use it to forge ourselves into something stronger. Modern man is wounded. He wakes every morning with an invisible weight in his chest. There's a dull rage he cannot fully explain. He's irritated by the happiness of others. He's secretly pleased when someone fails. Deep down, he believes the world owes him something. He carries resentment. And Nietzsche warned there is no poison more dangerous, nothing uglier in human nature than resentment. Resentment is a tumor that grows in the soul unnoticed. It begins small, a frustration here, an injustice there, a disappointment to betrayal, and over time, if left unchecked, it spreads and consumes the entire being. The resentful man does not fight to become better, he hopes others will fall. He doesn't see greatness for himself, he wishes for the great to be destroyed. He becomes a prisoner of his own hatred, trapped in a cycle of bitterness and blame. Look at social media, look at comment sections, look at how people react to others' success. There's an epidemic of resentment. Someone announces a promotion, must be nice to have connections. Someone shares their fitness transformation, probably on steroids. Someone celebrates a relationship, give it 6 months. Someone achieves financial success, they must have cheated or exploited someone. We've created a culture where standing out, where daring to attempt something great, where refusing mediocrity makes you a target. Nietzsche saw resentment as the defining trait of what he called slave morality. Throughout history, the strong ruled, but the weak, unable to defeat them through direct confrontation, invented a new strategy. They made weakness into virtue. They created a morality of the pitiful, where being weak became synonymous with being good, where suffering became a badge of honor, where defeat was reframed as moral victory. The envious, instead of trying to surpass themselves, simply declared the success of others immoral. The failure blames the system. The poor blame the rich. The incompetent blame those who stand out, and thus resentment justifies mediocrity. Nietzsche despised this mentality. He believed true strength lies in taking responsibility for your own life without hiding behind excuses. What is done out of love always happens beyond good and evil. Love of life demands that we abandon the role of victim and become the author of our own story. Nietzsche proposes a brutal and liberating alternative: become a free spirit. This means freeing yourself from the slave mentality. It means stopping the search for culprits. It means stopping the hatred of those who succeeded where you failed. It means accepting that life is not fair and never will be, and understanding that this is not an excuse to give up. The resentful person waits for the world to change. The free spirit changes himself. The resentful person accuses. The free spirit acts. The resentful person sees obstacles. The free spirit sees opportunities to become stronger. But becoming a free spirit requires something most people don't possess: courage. It requires the courage to look in the mirror and admit your own responsibility for where you are. It requires the courage to stop blaming your parents, your circumstances, your bad luck, the economy, the system, other people. It requires the courage to say, this is my life, these are my choices, this is my responsibility. And if I don't like where I am, it's on me to change it. This is terrifying, because once you accept full responsibility, you can no longer hide behind excuses. You can no longer comfort yourself with the idea that your failures are someone else's fault. But it's also liberating, because once you accept full responsibility, you reclaim your power. You're no longer a victim of circumstances. You're no longer waiting for someone to save you or for conditions to be perfect. You become the creator of your own destiny. Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch, often mistranslated as Superman, is not about dominating others, it's about transcending yourself. The Übermensch is the one who embraces life in its entirety, who does not flee from difficulty, who does not need meaning imposed from outside, who becomes a creator of values, a sculptor of his own character. Most people never attempt this. They follow the path laid out for them: get good grades, get a stable job, buy a house, have 2.5 children, work for 40 years, retire, die. They never question whether this is what they actually want. They never ask if this life reflects their deepest values. They live by rules and values created by others, never stopping to create their own. The Übermensch asks, what do I value? What am I willing to sacrifice for? What legacy do I want to leave? What would make my life worth living eternally? And one question remains for you. Are you willing to abandon the lies that comfort you in order to face the truth that can strengthen you? We return to where we began. Life is a burden. This is not pessimism, it's realism. But Nietzsche shows us that this burden is not a punishment, it's the only thing capable of making us great. Neuroscience now confirms what Nietzsche intuited. The brain strengthens through challenge. Neurons that are stressed form stronger connections. Muscles that are torn rebuild themselves stronger. Minds that face difficulty develop resilience. Psychology has documented post-traumatic growth, the phenomenon where people who survive terrible circumstances often emerge stronger, wiser, more compassionate than they were before. History proves that those who face life head-on, who carry their burden with dignity, who transform suffering into strength, these are the only ones who truly leave their mark on the world. The question is not how to avoid the weight of existence. The question is, how will you carry it? Will you carry it as a victim, constantly complaining, blaming, resentful, waiting for someone to make things easier? Or will you carry it as a creator, as someone who understands that the weight is what gives you strength, that the struggle is what gives life meaning, that the difficulty is what makes the victory worth celebrating? Man is something that must be overcome. Life will not wait for you. It will not slow down. It will not become easier just because you want it to. The weight is there. It's real. It's heavy. But so are you. The only question that matters is, what will you do with it? Because if you can learn to say yes to your life exactly as it is, with all its pain and struggle and uncertainty and weight, if you can learn to love your fate, to embrace the burden, to transform suffering into strength, then you become something no circumstance, no hardship, no setback can destroy. You become unbreakable. You become the Übermensch, not in the sense of being superior to others, but in the sense of having transcended your former self, of having overcome your own limitations, of having created yourself through the fire of existence. And that, Nietzsche teaches us, is what it means to truly live, not to flee from the weight, but to carry it with pride. Not to curse the burden, but to understand it as the very thing that makes us human, that gives us the opportunity to become something greater. This is amor fati. This is the love of fate. This is the ultimate affirmation of life, so I ask you again, if you had to live your life exactly as it is now, over and over for eternity, would that be your heaven or your hell? Your answer to that question tells you everything you need to know about the life you're living. And if you don't like the answer, then you know what you must do. The weight is yours to carry. Make it count. But let's bring this down from the philosophical clouds for a moment, because theory without practice is just intellectual entertainment. How do you actually begin living this way? How do you move from understanding these ideas to embodying them? First, stop lying to yourself. This is harder than it sounds. We lie to ourselves constantly about why we're unhappy, about what we really want, about whose fault our situation is, about what we're capable of. Start with one honest question. If I continue living exactly as I am now, will I be proud of the life I've lived when I'm on my deathbed? If the answer is no, then you already know something needs to change. The question is whether you have the courage to change it. Second, embrace discomfort deliberately. Choose one thing that scares you, one thing that's difficult, one thing you've been avoiding because it's hard, and do it. Not because it will make you happy. It probably won't, at least not immediately. Do it because it will make you stronger. Maybe it's having a difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Maybe it's starting the business you've been dreaming about. Maybe it's ending the relationship that's draining your soul. Maybe it's beginning the creative project you're terrified will fail. Maybe it's confronting the addiction you've been hiding from. Whatever it is, the discomfort you feel is the signal that you're moving in the right direction. Comfort is the enemy of growth. If everything feels easy and safe, you're not becoming stronger, you're becoming weaker. Third, take full responsibility. This is the hardest step and the most important. Every excuse you make is a piece of your power that you're giving away. I would be successful, but the economy is bad. I would be healthy, but I don't have time. I would pursue my dreams, but my family doesn't support me. I would change my life, but I'm too old, young, poor, busy. Every but is a surrender. Every excuse is a chain you're choosing to wear. Nietzsche's philosophy is not for the faint of heart. It offers no comfort, no easy answers, no one to blame. It only offers this, the possibility of becoming who you truly are, of living a life so full and rich and meaningful that you would willingly choose to live it again for eternity. Fourth, find your why. Viktor Frankl, who we mentioned earlier, wrote that those who have a why to live can bear with almost any how. If you don't know what you're carrying the weight for, it becomes unbearable. But if you have a purpose that's bigger than your comfort, bigger than your fear, bigger than your excuses, then the weight becomes not a burden, but a privilege. What is your why? What would you sacrifice for? What would make your suffering meaningful? What would you be willing to endure if you knew it mattered? These aren't rhetorical questions. You need actual answers. Fifth, surround yourself with people who challenge you, not people who comfort you. The last men surround themselves with other last men. They enable each other's mediocrity, validate each other's excuses, and pull each other down when one tries to rise. Free spirits seek out others who are also attempting to climb. They don't want enablers. They want people who will call out their bullshit, who will hold them accountable, who will push them to be better. Look at the 5 people you spend the most time with. Are they lifting you up or holding you back? Are they challenging you to grow or encouraging you to stay comfortable? Are they living lives you admire or lives you pity? The people around you shape who you become. Choose wisely. Finally, practice amor fati daily. This isn't a one-time decision, it's a daily practice, sometimes a moment-by-moment practice. When something goes wrong, and things will go wrong, you have a choice. You can curse it, resent it, wish it hadn't happened, or you can ask, how can this make me stronger? What can I learn from this? How can I use this? When you're struggling, when you're in pain, when everything feels heavy and hopeless, remember, this is the weight that forges you. This is the fire that purifies you. This is the struggle that shapes you into something unbreakable. We've covered a lot of ground, from the death of God to the rise of the last man, from the poison of resentment to the freedom of the Übermensch, from the burden of existence to the practice of amor fati. But all of this philosophical exploration means nothing if it doesn't change how you actually live. Nietzsche didn't write philosophy to be studied in dusty academic halls. He wrote it to be lived, to be embodied, to transform people from passive victims into active creators. So here we are, at the end of this exploration, and the only question that matters is, what now? You can close this. Go back to your comfortable distractions, your familiar patterns, your safe routines. You can pretend you never heard these ideas. You can continue being the last man, scrolling through life, numbing yourself, waiting for something to change. Or you can choose differently. You can choose to face the weight of existence with courage. You can choose to transform suffering into strength. You can choose to take responsibility for your own life. You can choose to create your own meaning. You can choose to become a free spirit. The burden is there either way. The weight of existence doesn't disappear just because you ignore it. The only question is whether you'll carry it as a victim or as a creator. Nietzsche once wrote, "The individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. If you try it, you will be lonely often, and sometimes frightened, but no price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself." This is the price. Loneliness, fear, struggle, doubt. This is what it costs to truly live rather than merely exist. But consider the alternative, a life of comfort and safety and mediocrity, a life where you never risk, never challenge yourself, never become who you could be, a life that, when lived over and over for eternity, would be indistinguishable from hell. Which price are you willing to pay? The path Nietzsche offers is not easy, it's not comfortable, it's not popular, but it's real, it's honest, and it leads somewhere worth going, to a life that's truly yours, to a self that you've consciously created, to a strength that no circumstance can break. So I'll leave you with one final question. The same question we started with, but which hopefully now carries more weight. If you had to live your life exactly as it is, over and over for eternity, would that be your heaven or your hell? If it's hell, then you know what you must do. The weight is waiting. The burden is there. The choice is yours. Will you carry it with pride, or will you be crushed by it? Will you transform suffering into strength, or will you drown in resentment? Will you create your own meaning, or will you live by values others have given you? Will you become the Übermensch, or will you remain the last man? These aren't questions for later, they're questions for now, because life doesn't wait, and neither should you. The demon is whispering,
you will have to live this life again exactly as it is, forever. What is your answer? Make it one you can live with eternally.